talk about that. Like how, like, all right, I'm getting out. How was that for you? Like, the day before, or that, how,
the week.
What was that feeling? Like, I'm getting out. I'm getting out of here.
Because boy, I almost passed out.
Well, first, first before you say that, how did you? What happened to allow you to be your judgment to be turned over or for them to release you?
Well, my co-defendant name is Anthony Reed Mujahid, and he's on death row for some other cases, and he had been telling me, that listen, man, we got the issues, we just gotta get it in court. They keep denying it, I think it was Obama. Obama changed the laws about the time period where you can re-enter, resubmit your issues.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Obama did that, he submitted his issues in the courts. He sent them same issues to me. He said it was already set up in a brief. He said, submit this to the what is that? CIU. The thing that Larry Krasner put together. I can't remember. It's called the CIU.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's an acronym. Where they investigate your case when you put issues in. I sent that in to them. Then I sent it to a lawyer and I just asked him to read it. Just read this and tell me what you think. The lawyer I sent it to, he was getting ready to become second chair on the Defense Association. And he said, listen, you got good issues. He said, but I can't, it will be a conflict of interest. He said, I can't take your case. He said, do you mind if I turn it over to a young attorney, young, hungry attorney that I know?
Excuse me.
And I've always knew and heard from different people in jail, the best attorneys are those young, hungry attorneys instead of the old regime.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, yeah, go ahead and give it to him. I said, go ahead and give it to him. Like a week later, main man hit me back. He said, you have very good issues. He said, I'm optimistic. He said, I usually don't take on these 30-year-old cases. He said, but I'm going to take yours on. He said, I'm going to submit everything I need to submit. You don't have to send me nothing. Because he's seen it right then and there. And he fixed it up, changed the legal jargon and everything like that. And he submitted it and it hit the ground running from there.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember what the CIU stand for. It's going as soon as I get off this podcast,
you gonna remember.
Yeah.
So,
that's how it always been.
So now, did you have to go back in front of the judge to be released, or something that they did and then they told you, hey, we letting you out?
Well, this is the thing, and I was laughing when y'all was saying about the week ahead. I didn't know I was going home.
What?
So he just came to your cell one day.
I was sitting on the phone, and
they rushes you off their yard when you get released and don't know.
Yeah.
They like speedball you.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Ain't no sit around. You getting out of here.
So what it was, I we was going through the appeal process, and the judge at the time, I don't think I should mention his name, but he's a popular judge. He started he was like giving the DA's office a lot of time, to giving them a lot of time to go over the case,
build defenses and all that.
Right. So we going back and forth. I never went down to court. They never took me down. My lawyer was going in and fighting these issues. And he just kept giving postponements after postponement after postponement. But it was cut and dry. I had the issues to deal with, to get out on. But I had no confidence in the system.
Wow.
I had no confidence. My confidence was so low in the system that my daughter was the only one that I told, what was going on with my case, that I was getting some traction. And I told her, don't tell nobody. Don't tell my mother, don't tell my sisters, don't tell anybody. And it was only because I had been in the process already of being denied, of putting in appeals that I think that was good appeals, and they was denying them. So I didn't want to take my family through that. So I told my daughter, and she was the only one going to court. And then a couple of the guys in the neighborhood, they would say, well, we're going to go down with you. They started going down. So they started seeing what was going on. And like I said, they set a court date for April the 6th, 2023. And they was just supposed to hear the issues. So this particular day, I was working. I was working in the laundry at the prison, and I went to work faithfully. But I went to work and I was sitting down there, and something said, "Man, go back to the block." So I told my supervisor, I gotta go back to the block. I gotta take care of something. So I came back and I called my man. I called him on the phone just to see what he was doing. So he said, we down in the courtroom. So I said, what you down in the courtroom for? He said, the judge called the emergency hearing. So I said, emergency hearing, but I'm supposed to go April the 6th. This is March 8th. He said, well, the judge called the emergency hearing. We down here. Your lawyer's down here. Your daughter's down here. A couple of the homies is down there, So I'm like, oh, okay. So I said, all right, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to call you back. I called him back. And I'm sitting there. I'm sitting at the phone. I calls him back. And he says, yo, we on our way to come get you. I got to chill just now, just telling you.
Yeah, I got to chill just now. You said that. I'm goosebumps.
He said, we on our way to come get you. I said, come on, man, with the bull.
Yeah, you playing. Come on, man.
Stop playing. So he was like, bruh, the judge said immediate release, discharge. All charges are thrown out. He said, we coming to get you right now. So I'm sitting there, I'm holding this phone, and he like, yo, you still on the phone, but I'm holding the phone. I don't go get up and pack no cell. I don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? So he said, yo, we on our way. I said, all right, but I'm telling you that denial and not trusting the system sets in so deep that I hung the phone up and never moved. I sat there because I was in denial. I was like, they ain't not, something is going to happen, bro. Something is going to happen, and I'm not going to get out. And sure enough, it did. Sure enough, it did. They came up to get me, and the warden at the time said, no, we can't release him because the orders didn't coincide. So my lawyer up there arguing with them like, he just got the judge released him from court. So what do you mean the orders they don't coincide? What happened was the judge sent an order up to the DOC, but he sent a different order to the prison. So it was a blessing in my time of being incarcerated. I met a guy who used to be a former senator. We became very close. His wife is a sitting senator right now. She's a senator right now. And my daughter got in contact with them. They had rented out the, what is it called? Ruth's Chris, the restaurant, for me to have a dinner. And they were on their way from Harrisburg to Philly. My daughter called them and told them what was going on. That lady got on the phone and made a phone call. And I always gonna give him a shout out, but it was to Sharif Street. Sharif Street got on the phone and called the president judge. And the president judge called up to the DOC and said, release him from prison. I have the order right here. He's to be discharged from prison. And if you keep him in there and something was to happen to him, you'll be liable.
And that's the famous video we see you walking out of the prison and your family sitting right there.
With my family right there, and I got the Browns on. And you know what's funny? And I'm going to say this real quick. What's funny is I was strolling through the comments, and there's a dude that said in the comments that was a fake picture because you can't leave the DOC in their Brown.
I was going to say that. I saw you leave because you had everything on.
Everything on. My man got that in his office right now because I use that when I talk to the kids. When I talk to the kids, I ask them, this is what you want your life to be. A set of Browns and boots.
And and now you're home now, and you're back into society, and you're around your family. What's the most important memory that you have now that you're back home? What's the most important memory, like being out on the streets?
It's one of the memories that I can say that I feel as though it was important, but it was sad. I got out. Well, it was two. I got out that day, and I chose to go see my mom. My mom lived in Jersey. So I went to go see my mother, and she didn't recognize me. She didn't know who I was.
Wow.
Because prior to that, she hadn't seen me in about 4 or 5 years because of her health. She wanted to come see me, but I would tell her no.
Now, did she suffer from, some type of issues where she can't recognize?
It was early on. It was early on.
Dementia?
Dementia and Alzheimer's. So she didn't recognize me, and it was a video of it, but I wasn't gonna put that on social media. Where I sat on the side of her bed, and they was asking like, "Mom, that's your son," and she told him, she said, "Nah, my son in jail. That ain't my son. He in jail." And until I took her hands and I put her hands on my face, and she rubbed her hands across my face, and then she said, "It is you." That was a deep moment for me, And then we just started laughing and talking, but I had to leave to go because they had the reservations at Ruth Chris for me. So my niece, who my father was living with, my father was 102 years old.
Wow.
And he was living with her. So I called my niece. I said, "Listen, first thing in the morning, I'll be to see my pop. Tell him I'm coming." She said, "He knows. I told him that you was home." And he said, "Okay, that's good." My father died that night. So I never got to see him alive. So only when I saw him, he was in the bed. Looked like he was asleep. But he died that night. And my only silence I had about that is my niece told me, he smiled when he heard that I was home.
Wow.
And he passed. Allah took him that night. But one of the good things that came from also that came from that is the first time I was able to get all my grandkids together. I had 6 grandkids, and I was able to be in a room with all of them. It's not only for other people's kids, youth, but it's for them to save them too.
Exactly.
So that's why I formulated my organization called Just Better Men, to deal with the traumas of the youth, those who are out here with this gun violence, killing each other over trolling and some of the dumbest reasons.
Yeah.
But that was my reason, one of my reasons for doing that. Losing my son and trying to save my grandkids. And if I can save somebody else's kid in the midst of that, Allah Musta'an.
Now, I know we had you here a long time, and then you got to go. But I'm gonna ask you a question. What message, what's the most important message that you can give to the youth, for those out there who may be living in life of crime, or someone who may be looking to or around, or they're just around it and they don't know how to walk away? What advice would you have for someone, in that predicament?
Just know for sure that it's real. What they are trying to do to us, black, brown, and even some Caucasians, it's real, and it's even more real than in our times, because now they're going to get you without reason. You understand? So, but my advice to a lot of the youth is, when you have a person in front of you who served time in the penitentiary, who did time, real time in jail, and they're giving you game about what not to do to go to the penitentiary, give them some time and listen. Because we lived that life. What y'all are doing now, we did 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's just revolving doors. It's just keep going around. You are not doing it no different. At the end of the day, your result are the same. Either you dying or you going to jail for a lot of years. So when we take our time out to try to tell you to stop doing what you're doing, we carry guns, we use guns, we sold drugs. You know, we did the things that y'all, are trying to do. The end result is you're going to die or you're going to the penitentiary. We can't stop you from dying, because Allah going to take you when He want to take you. It's already written. But we can try to curb your destiny to the point where we can tell you things that may change your way of thinking, to the point where you put that gun down, or you try to remove yourself from certain areas where you know that the possibility of you either shooting somebody or getting shot is big. You know, we don't just talk to be talking. We're not burnt out old heads.
Exactly.
We're not. We just some people that just seeing what you are about to see, and we trying to steer you in a different direction.
Yo, so listen, take heed to the message. You know, that message was really, really sincere, and I felt it.
The message seems like it hit me hard.
Yeah,
like he was talking to me just now.
Yeah, we have to, we keep playing ourselves in the same rabbit hole, that's been going on, And my thing, like I always said, at one time in my life, I was a poison to society. I was a poison to society. To change the narrative, I want to be the antidote to cure the sickness of society. A friend of mine uses an analogy that if you go to a drug rehab, the first person you talk to is not a doctor. It's not a doctor, not a custodian, none of that. The first person you talk to is a recovering addict, because that recovering addict knows where you've been and where you're going if you don't straighten up.
Exactly.
So these are the people that you talk to, and I'm that person. He's that person. Everybody in this room is that person, because we experience things and we're trying to give back to, to society and try to help you.
Yeah. So listen, take heed to that message. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, that's it for me.
What about you? What?
But you got a platform where they can find you at?
Oh yeah, justbettermen.org. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Instagram as the original black, _original_black. On Facebook, I'm under Amir Bowman. We're doing a book bag giveaway tomorrow at the 2600 block of Silver. I'm collabing with the Grow Inc. 26 organization. That organization was formulated by a very dear friend of mine who died on a motorcycle, Baby Ray, Rahimullah. And come on out tomorrow at 1. We're giving out book bags, and we're just gonna have some fun, and just trying to get back to the community. But like I said, justbettermen.org, the original black, and Amir Bowman on Facebook.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. It's Tales from the Jails.